IC capstone presentation. So my presentation is on the unmet needs of the homeless, a study in the limitations of a homeless shelter, specifically Brother Francis. And that's me. So some of my inspirations for conducting this research was basically David Shipler's Working Poor, Invisible in America, which is a book of the year. And from reading this, I recognized that I myself had been precariously housed, almost homeless. And that kind of existed for me for nearly 2 years. So I got a lot of insight and personal experience from these things that happened for me. And listed below are activities in the community and here on campus. And for the sake of Dr. Judy Owens-Manley, I am an engaged social issue liaison as well. Currently, I am working on a Bachelor of Social Work degree, and as well as an interdisciplinary studies degree, a minor in gerontology, and a certificate in civic engagement. So Brother Francis is a great organization. Brother Francis has been helping the homeless and on issues on homelessness in Anchorage since 1982. They provide emergency temporary shelter and food. When the temperature reaches 45 degrees or lower, the municipality's cold weather plan is implemented, which means there's a 30-day in and out policy at the shelter that is done away once we reach those temperatures. Also, the room capacity for the shelter is 364. In the wintertime, they often overfill capacity. Then next door, Beans Cafe will open their doors. Their capacity is 160. When that is full, the local churches open up their doors. And if you've watched the news, that has happened quite often. So at the shelter, or Catholic Social Service and Brother Francis understands the power of language. They work very hard and understand that the power of labeling, and to avoid stigmatization, they use terms to identify people who use their services, call them guests, and avoid terms like clients or consumers. So this, for my purpose of my project, how it kind of began was conversations I had with specifically David Rittenberg, case manager at Brother Francis, and Susan Bomalaski, who helped redefine the concept for my research. This research, again, was approved by the Institutional Review Board, and so I was allowed to conduct the interviews with human subjects. The interviews I was involved in interviews with Brother Francis caseworkers and supervisors. In addition, analyzing data from the critical incidents reports, and those are documents that has information on the kind of incidences that I was looking for this research. Volunteers and guests are not included in this interview. Volunteers are individual. So let me get to the next page. So these are the 3 types of personnel at the shelter. As I mentioned, case managers and supervisors will be interviewed. The difference of supervisors and case managers are that the supervisors work directly with all the guests, and case managers work with some of them. Not everyone signs up for case management. Volunteers are guests who use their service, and they volunteer their time to assist the supervisors with activities in the shelter. Okay, and this is just some data that I received from my research. And so just kind of want to point out in the lower half there, significantly how these are counts on any given night in January of how many individuals use the shelters, or that are sheltered or not sheltered, or yes, that are homeless and use shelters. So winter time is really a severe time for those who are homeless, and that's when the numbers increases at the shelter. Also, so does the shoulder season, which is fall, and breakup season, because often we have, if you've experienced colder nights, and so fall into winter, and winter into spring, whatever that means here in Alaska. When is summer coming? Okay, so this is just some findings that I have received or found out about from my research reviews, or interviews and literature reviews. Specifically here in Alaska, I found out what was really surprising is among the youths there is a high use of spice, and it's a variety of herbal mixtures that's considered safe. However, case managers are finding that there's issues of seizures and people fainting and other hazardous health conditions that's been associated from the smoking spice within the people that they serve. Okay, and this list here are some of the issues that have been linked with homelessness in combination, according to some studies. The combination, some of them have claimed the causality for homelessness. These are some of the issues that I found in my research results from interviews and literature reviews. I'm still analyzing the data from the incident report and still conducting research, but I want to share you something problematic that's happening here in Alaska, specifically with those that are released from the hospitals. Physicians will tell them, okay, you're not sick enough to be in the hospital, but I'm going to release you, but you need bed rest. But they're homeless. Where are they supposed to recover? Another incident is there was an individual who had some ear issue and needed assistance with changing the bandages. Nobody at the shelter was allowed to assist him. It was something simple, but because of liability and policy, they're not allowed to assist him. Besides, the shelter is not equipped to provide those types of service. So it's just something to really think about. So the potential for this outcome, and I did not put this in there, but there is a possibility for future research. But in addition to that, from my discussion with the Deputy Director from Catholic Social Services, I asked her, hey, well, what are you going to do with this once I'm done? She was telling me that, you know what, this opens up an old question for further discussions, discussion with the medical and mental health community, as well as other placements, assisted living homes, and places like that, as well as conversations with governmental agencies and organizations. This problem has been around since the shelter is open, but they're very excited that I was going to conduct this interview or this research. And also, it's going to hopefully potentially, again, raise awareness and potentially add an addition to the public discourse on homelessness, specifically to Alaska. These are some ideas, some recommendations that I got from the caseworkers in the interviews. And they are wanting to say, well, how would you solve this problem? What's some ideas? They were recommending that if there was another facility other than Brother Francis where they can get the kind of help that they need specific for recovery. They were wanting better communications and relationship with other agencies related to homelessness, more support and activity from local and state government, provide daily medical attention at the facility. At the facility, they have 3 days of minor